Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, Jerome Powell's speech definitely triggered a strong rally on the Wall Street, and that also rubbed off on our Dalal Street as well, to a certain extent for sure. The Nifty was back above the 25,000 mark yesterday, but still shy of retesting its record high level of 25,078 odd mark. But it did end near the record closing highs as well. It also ensured that the Nifty rose for the 8th straight day. This is the longest stretch of gaining streak in more than a year that we've actually seen for the Nifty as well. And almost all the interest rate sensitives definitely put up a strong show on Monday, starting with the IT names, which rallied post the surge that they had seen on the Nasdaq, the real estate stocks, the metal stocks. All of them had a good day at office as of yesterday. Now, as we inch closer to the F&O expiry of the series, remains to be seen. Will we be able to retest that record high mark today or closer to that, or will we take a tad bit more time? Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mangalwar hai to mangal hi hoga. We've sort of added 8 days of green, and there is a particular reason that I'm wearing a dark green shade today, because I'm hoping this rally goes beyond its 8th day and continues till 13 days. Remember, we also have the monthly expiry of F&O due 2 days from now, which is Thursday and 29th of August. Now let's sort of analyze the market. The Nifty daily chart is right there in front of you. Sakshi has set the tone, saying that Wall Street, particularly the Dow index, has closed at a record high, thanks to now almost confirmation that there will be a rate cut on Wall Street in September. What is the quantum of the rate cut is up for debate. Markets want a 50 basis point reduction in borrowing costs, and will be happy with 25. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin our discussion on what to expect in the markets. There are muted cues coming in from GIFT Nifty, more so because we've rallied somewhere like 900 points on the Nifty alone in the past 8 trading sessions, from a low of 24,099 to about 25,010. And as Sakshi points out, 25,074 is where we are headed. All signs are of positivity, except a few. Let's just highlight what we are looking at. So yesterday was a rally which was sort of fed by a very strong bout of short covering in metal stocks, sustained buying in IT counters such as HCL Tech, TCS, Tech Mahindra in particular, and of course a host of small software companies. And Reliance contributed smartly to Nifty's rally. It's likely to remain in strength ahead of its AGM on August 29th. So that's a very, very big relief coming in for Nifty bulls. We've seen a lot of momentum coming into this particular counter over the last 3 or 4 sessions, and most likely a record high is on the offing for Reliance Industries as well. It is Fin Nifty's weekly expiry today. The index is up 0.9% over the past 5 trading sessions, but the all-time high of the Fin Nifty, which was hit on June 4th, the index is still 600 points below it. Yesterday's crown prince on the Fin Nifty was Bajaj Finserv. That's because there is an IPO coming in for Bajaj Housing, and all those shareholders who have their names within Bajaj Finserv till August 29 will be sort of allowed to have the shareholder quota in Bajaj Housing IPO. So please keep that in mind, and unless you buy today, you will not get the delivery in your demat by August 29. But that is again something that your financial advisor should decide on your behalf. Now, what is the most critical point which is against the market? This is rising crude oil prices. We talked about it yesterday. The crisis in the Middle East, in particular, oil fields in East Libya have stopped producing, and that's the reason why you see a 3 percentage point uptick in crude oil prices, now beyond $80 a barrel. This is good news for Oil India and ONGC, which had started their move yesterday, but this is bad news for oil marketing companies. We'll see how the market decides to give what to whom. Now, what is really interesting is that let's look at the options picture as far as the Nifty is concerned. Like I have said, there is a very, very strong support now coming in at 24,900. What is also positive is that the index futures numbers, in which the FIIs put in serious money, saw an inflow of 3,061 crores on Monday. On Friday this was 92 crores, and on Thursday it was 607 crores. So sustained buying that is happening in index futures is something which is positive for the market, and it should see record high. Now, what is the resistance? I believe 25,200 to 25,100 will pose a serious threat to what bulls face, but given the strength in the IT space, given the momentum that we see in Reliance, given the short covering that's happening across the board close to the FNO expiry, August, although it was a very painful month, is turning out quite well. We should not only climb to a record peak, we should comfortably close above 25,000 for this particular month. Sakshi, what are the numbers as far as our foreign friends are concerned? I believe now they are buyers for the third day in a row.
That's absolutely right. So the foreign investors have invested for the third straight session. They bought stocks worth about 483 odd crore rupees in the Indian equities, and also the domestic institutional investors, they've stayed buyers for the 16th straight session. They've bought equities worth about 1870 odd crore rupees in trade. Well, as far as the US markets are concerned, they were mixed on Monday, with the S&P 500 finishing about 0.3% higher, the Nasdaq Composite about 0.85% lower in trade. The Dow Jones, however, did end at record high levels, up about 0.6% higher, 0.16% higher in trade. So that hit a record high level. Oil prices have managed to pare some of the gains on Tuesday morning. We've seen the WTI futures trading at $77.16 a barrel, the Brent at $81.23 a barrel. We've also seen that the Asia Pacific markets were also mixed in the morning trade. So we've seen the Nikkei slightly softer in trade by about 0.16%. The Kospi also was flat with a negative bias. Right now it's down by about 0.4%. Hang Seng down by 0.9%. You have Shanghai that's also slipped now into the red, about 0.1% lower in trade. And the GIFT Nifty is also indicating flat with a muted or a negative start for the Indian equities. You can actually see that the GIFT Nifty is trading at 25,017 odd levels. So we'll look at how that reacts in the opening levels today. And of course, apart from this, there are several of the stocks that we need to keep an eye out on. Lots of news flows that are keeping us busy. Ultratech Cement, the company has raised $500 million through a sustainability-linked loan with participation from 6 banks. We'll keep an eye out on this one. Next, we also have Piramal Enterprises. Now, the company's unit, Piramal Capital and Housing Finance, was held liable for a 466 crores penalty on voluntary withdrawn claim of 3,698 crores from the Diwan Housing Finance merger. We'll keep that in mind right here. Today, GPT Infra is going to be in focus. The company's launched QIP, setting the floor price at 183.83. Also, HCL Technologies will be in focus. The company's extended its strategic AI-driven engineering services and digital process operations partnership with Xerox, and HCL Tech will support the newly formed Xerox Global Business Services Organization in driving the key business metrics going forward. Lemon Tree Hotels, the company has signed a new property. In fact, this is in Ayodhya, an 80-room hotel, which is expected to open in FY28, will be managed by its subsidiary Carnation Hotels. So that's going to be important. Bondada Engineering, the company has said that it's been awarded a contract value of 576 crores. This is to execute solar power projects across various districts in Maharashtra under the PM Kusum scheme. So we'll keep an eye out on this stock as well. There are several brokerage houses reports that we have to keep a keen eye out on. So Axis Capital has upgraded ABB. They believe it's a good entry point and it's an upgrade to buy from its reduced rating earlier. They also expect diversified capex upcycle over the medium term and recommend buying to its into the recent correction. They've upped the target price also for the company from 8190 earlier to 9340. This is implied, this is implying a 20% upside from the current market levels. On ONGC, JP Morgan came out with a report maintaining a neutral rating. They've hiked the target price to 306 from 280 rupees earlier, and the current market price is still higher. It's at 327 odd levels. They believe the stock upside is more specific to pricing than structural uptick through volumes, and offshore production is steadily declining despite the efforts, and therefore not to higher targets. JP Morgan has initiated its coverage on Indegene. They have a neutral rating, a target price of 570, which is just about 6 points higher than the current market price of 564. They believe the strong process expertise and the track record in scaling top clients and also growth should accelerate in FY26 as client specific issues have also abated. Now on Medi Assist, Investec has come out with a report with a buy call and a target price of 625 rupees on the acquisition of Paramount TPA, which actually represents one of the largest TPA deals in India. Acquisition which will increase the market share of the group in the segment by about 6% and 4% in the health space as well. And the deal values Paramount at about 400 crore rupees, implying a 2.5 times FY24 sales and 39 times FY24 PE. And the deal value is reasonable given the scale of Paramount. On the real estate sector, Morgan Stanley has come out with a report. They believe that the interest in real estate sector has waned, perhaps when you compare it months ago. Developers are launching dependent and valuations are already stretched. They remain constructive amid the continued upcycle. Pre-sales outlook also still remain positive for some of the players like DLF, Oberoi and Prestige. However, they could be slower than earlier is what they believe. They're also looking at, investors are now looking at the smaller developers. So Godrej is their preferred play right here in the current market scenario within the real estate space. Shail.
8:44, ladies and gentlemen, and not only are we waiting for the pre-open to start, but Mr. Dharmesh Kant, Head of Equity Research, Cholamandalam Securities, will be joining us, as also Mr. Oshu Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst for Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One, will be with us shortly. Couple of stocks that are doing very well in the markets need to be highlighted. Among them, let's look at Indian hotels. Now remember, we will be looking out at rollover data too, because we are in the last leg of this expiry. Now let's look at Indian hotels, up 5.7% so far in the month of August. This is accompanied by a surge in open interest, 10.7%. Rollovers are a fairly decent 45%. It's the delivery that has surged dramatically. The counter is at a record high. It shows fresh build-ups coming in for a better rally. We'll be checking it with technical analysts as well. JSW Steel, 965 for you. The counter is up 10% in a market which has not appreciated metal stocks. This is India's second largest producer of alloy and has seen a 9% uptick on open interest. Rollovers are 34%, delivery is up 39%. Keep an eye out on JSW Steel as well. Persistent record high, counter above 5,000, 5% up in the month of August, and a fairly decent uptick in delivery statistics, 139% higher for Monday versus Friday, and the rollovers are pretty strong as well. Bajaj Finserv is something that I have already discussed. Negative rollovers are happening in BHEL. You need to keep that in mind. And of course, counters such as Granules, GNFC, Hindustan Copper, Nalco and Sun TV have come out the F&O ban in the futures and options market. So keep these few stocks in mind, both as momentum coming back into Hindustan Copper and Nalco in particular. Nalco was the top performing stock in F&O yesterday, up 5%, and of course a very strong move coming into Hind Copper from multi-month lows. So keep these 2 or 3 threads in mind, stocks that have come out of F&O ban and stocks that are showing strong rollovers when they move into September's expiry. Not only strong rollovers but record highs in some of them and decent upticks in the rest. Sakshi.
All right, so we will be waiting by now for our guests to join in to share with us the views, the strategies that we have in the markets and we need to follow going forward from here as well. And of course, apart from that, we will be keeping a keen eye out on several of the pockets and the sectors that have started to gain some momentum, including the IT space that has come back with a full fervor, and to see whether that momentum will continue. This has been an outperformer in the recent past, the IT space. We've also seen, remember in the last 1 month itself, the index has risen by about 2% odd or so. We've also seen the pharma space come back in action. Consumer durables is another space that's been gaining a lot of traction. Apart from the major players right there, we do see some of the mid-cap players also gaining a lot of strength in the last 1 week. So we continue to keep an eye out on this one. The Nifty Consumer Durables Index is also up by about 6% in the last 1 month. So there's been a lot of traction thanks to even heavyweight counters over there like Titan that have been coming back into flavor. The metal space, the way it has come back, remains to be seen whether this is going to be another cycle that plays out, or is it going to be a structural long-term story now that the metals investors should be tracking going forward from here. Several of these pockets will be important to track, and of course apart from this we will be also looking at how the erstwhile performers, the defense, the railways pack, the shipping stocks, is there going to be any kind of strengthening of the action there, because most of these pockets and most of the stocks within these pockets have actually shown a correction of about 20-30% odd already. So whether this is a buy or dip opportunity, or is it rather going to be a long drawn time correction on this one, is going to be extremely important for us to understand. So those are some of the things that we will be keeping a keen eye out on. And of course there'll be also a lot of block deals, stake sales that we will be also continuing to look at. This very important update again from the primary market space that we all should be keeping a keen eye out on, and that is Premier Energy's IPO that opens today. So you need to keep an eye out on that one. Remember, the company is planning to raise 28-30 odd crore rupees through the IPO, which will open up today, and until 3rd of September is when it will remain open. And the company, it consists of a fresh issue of 2.8 crore shares amounting to 1291 crores, and an offer for sale of 1539 crore rupees as well. Already around 800 crores is what the company has garnered through the anchor investors earlier. The price band is 427 to 450 rupees per share, and the minimum size for retail investors for investing is about 33 shares in one lot, which means a minimum investment from you will go to the tune of 14,850 odd crore rupees. Remember, this is a company which is into the manufacturing of solar cells, and it has a 29 years experience. The management was here yesterday, and probably you can go back to that interaction and see what the management outlook and vision is going forward from here. There were several points that were discussed with him as far as the financials are concerned, the visibility on capacity additions are concerned, expanding the presence. So the company was very, very clear that they're moving away from Telangana and wanting to explore, geographically as well, to remove the concentration risk they have. About their top 10 clients account 66% of the revenue, which they see as a positive rather than a risk at this point in time as well. Margins, they've been consistently expanding, and they hope to retain the current levels over the next 1 or 2 financial years as well. So those are some of the key details that you could be looking at, and Premier Energies is one IPO that you should be definitely looking at today. Shail.
Premier is amongst 9 other IPOs that are open this week to collect funds from you, and given the kind of oversubscription levels that we are seeing mostly in SME IPOs, a lot of this money will also be moving out of secondary markets. Please keep that in mind. Now let's look at stocks that have outperformed in the NSE 500 for the month of August and are most likely to see more tailwinds following them. These are names that you are all familiar with. There is a very, very recent block deal on Trent for 470 crores, which will be getting reflected in the markets. Remember, Trent is up 18% for the month of August, almost 7,000 for you. And of course, this moves into the Nifty from September 30th onwards. What are the other stocks that have done fantastically well within the NSE 500? Policy Bazaar, up 25% to a record high which was yesterday, 1819 rupees. What is looking good? Central Depository Services, CDSL, 1539. Remember, it had scaled beyond 1600 rupees. This was the post 1:1 bonus adjustment, and of course at 23% uptick in the month of August. This is amongst the top performers. PCBL, earlier Philips Carbon Black, is the top performing stock in NSE 500, up a whopping 48% at 483 rupees. There are other names that we've often discussed: Inox Wind, Angel One, Oil India, Bikaji Foods. 855 is the close. We've seen 890 also, but this is about 19% higher as far as comparison with the July 31st close is concerned. Who have been the top losers? Garden Reach, Cochin Shipyard, Hindustan Zinc. Garden Reach down 25% at 1790. Cochin Shipyard slipping 22% lower at 2057. Engineers India and Hindustan Zinc, Masgao Dock. Remember, it's the PSU theme where the money is getting booked out of, profits are being taken away, and they are being shipped across to pharma, to IT, to FMCG, and a whole host of companies that have relatively better value to offer to the market compared with these stocks. Sakshi.
Right, fished out some more stocks that you should be keeping a keen eye out on today. One, like I was saying, there is a lot of stake sales that are going to be taking place, so keep an eye out on that, the block deals that will be underway. AU Small Finance Bank, here DSP Mutual Fund has acquired a 1.4% stake at an average price of 630 rupees per share, while FinCare Business Services have offloaded 1.7% stake at the same time as well. So keep an eye out on these stocks. Vedanta will be in focus because we've actually come to know that they have amassed about 30,000 crore rupees fund through QIP, offer for sale and the dividends, and this war chest is now intended for deleveraging, capital structure improvement and growth opportunities. And in Q1, remember, Vedanta's profit after tax has surged 54%, and the company has also received its highest ever alumina production, and the company is now clearly looking at reducing its debt, which now stands at 6,130 odd crore rupees. So a lot of this money will actually go into deleveraging for the company going forward. That should augur well for the company. This has been one of the key concerns that most of the investors community has been having for the company too. Apart from this, let's also look at some of the other stocks like Alembic Pharma. It's actually received a US FDA approval for its generic medicine, which is used to treat moderate to severe psoriasis of the scalp, and the approval is for a formulation which is equivalent to Luxic foam. That's about 0.12% of the Novurum Bioscience. So keep an eye out on that stock as well. PI Industries will be in focus. The company's board of directors has appointed Sanjay Agarwal as the group CFO effective August 26th, since yesterday, following the retirement of the CFO Manikanta Vishwanathan. So keep an eye out on that one as well. We also have to keep an eye out on UCAL, remember, which is an automotive component manufacturer. The company has signed a MOU which is with Blair Motors. This is to collaborate the design and the development of electronic components, including the motor controllers that are ranging from 500 watts to about 2 kilowatts as well. KPI Green Energy, another stock that you should be looking at. It's a wholly owned subsidiary that's called Sundrops Energia Private Limited, has received letters of intent to execute another solar power project with a cumulative capacity of 13.3 megawatts, and the orders were awarded by Ekta Prints, Radhika Fabrics, also Sumicort, a whole host of companies right there. So therefore the company will be also in focus today. Remember, there is this company which has been consistently under the SEBI radar. That's the Brightcom Group. Several regulatory actions have been taken on the company too. The company has declared its results. The company has reported a net loss of 24.2 crores for the quarter ended December 30th. They've still not reported numbers for the April Jan to March or the April to June quarter as well. The company has attributed its poor performance to various challenges, including war in Israel, the departure of its CEO and CFO, negative orders from SEBI, and the concerns that have been flagged by auditors as well. So keep an eye out on that. Again, there have been some losses that have been reported by the company in the December quarter. So some more stocks that you could be keeping a keen eye out on. Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at 8:57. This is as good a time as any to look at outperformers on the Nifty as well. And that's because not only are we headed for a record finish for the month of August, but we need to keep in track what is going to move forward in the month of September. So let's start with the stocks in top gear. No surprise there, Bajaj Auto, 8% higher, 10,432. Not only has the counter changed a digit, but with the recent listing of Ola Electric, the listed two-wheelers have got a market value to their EV business. So that's the theory that's fueling the rallies on Bajaj, Hero Motors, Eicher, and of course TVS Motors on a monthly basis. What else is in top shape? Shriram Finance, 8% higher, 3162. Hindalco, 6% up in the month of August so far, 712. Tech Mahindra and Titan, 5.5 and 4.5% respectively. These are the top 5 gainers, which are stocks that have lost ground. Okay, the top loser is Maruti. At 12,243, the counter's down 7% for the month of August so far. Very high inventory levels at dealers. Some put the number at 70,000 crore rupees for the combined passenger vehicle segment is harming Maruti, which is the top market holder on market shareholder as far as this market is concerned. SBI down 7%, 815. Tata Steel, Adani Ports and Tata Motors down 5.5, 5.5 and 5.5% respectively. These are the top 5 losers on the Nifty. Now let's look at the NSE small cap. Amongst the top gainers on this one is CDSL that we've discussed. Himadri Specialty Chemicals at 527, HSCL. Remember when we discussed the market look ahead with Mr. Jyoti Vardhan Jayapuria yesterday, he mentioned that chemical space is something where he's hunting actively, nibbling at stocks which might outperform very smartly. This is not to say that Himadri Specialty Chemicals is one of them, but to mention that the price performance has been an uptick of 23% over the last 1 month or so. So we are just a second away from what is going to be Tuesday's opening quote, ladies and gentlemen. 2538 to 26 points higher. Let's look at what the markets are telling us. A 1 percentage point uptick on TCS, 4552. This is a blowout performance, 50 rupees higher. HDFC Bank in the green so far, 15 rupees higher at 1655, about a percentage point uptick. What's ICICI Bank doing? Now this is a problematic thing, down almost 2% at 1190, but this will improve for the better. What is Kotak doing? 7.5 rupees higher, 1820. SBI 5 rupees in the green. How about Infosys? Infosys is 9 rupees 80 higher at 1886, and Bajaj Finserv is the stock to watch for the reason that I mentioned, that if you have it in your portfolio in your demat by August 29th, only then will you be eligible for the shareholder quota of Bajaj Housing. How about Twin Bajaj Finance, a rupee 65 higher at 6780. What else is buzzing in the NSE 500 space? Let's now shift the lens to daily top gainers. Okay. Any name that catches my attention? Yes, Lemon Tree. 136, 2.3% higher. The company signed a deal for an 80-room hotel at Ayodhya. What else is buzzing in the green? These are the names that I can think of course, Oracle Finance, 0.3% higher. Prism Johnson, 2 percentage points higher. KEC Limited, 2.9% higher. A quick look at FNO, and let's look at the gainers. IDFC First Bank, 2.5% higher. Ipca Labs, 1.2% higher. HCL Technologies in the uptick, 1.1% higher. Sun Pharma, Aditya Birla, Coforge, all less than 1% higher. National Aluminium is something to be watched at, 1/8% higher at 183.45. Sakshi, what are you watching?
A whole host of stocks. Let's quickly look at how are they reacting to the news flows and brokerage houses updates. Let's look at Indegene. Remember, JP Morgan initiated its coverage right there on with a neutral rating. They do believe the company's growth will be accelerating in FY26, and that's what they hope to see for Indegene. Let's see how that one is reacting in the pre-open trade. We'll also keep an eye out on ONGC after a whole host of one-way run-up that we've actually seen on the stock. JP Morgan has actually now hiked the target price to 306 for the company, but this is still lower than the current market price, flattish with a positive bias on ONGC. Let's also look at Medi Assist, a buy call by Investec with a target price of 625 on the acquisition of Paramount TPA. As to how that one is reacting, Medi Assist, let's pull up the stock and see how that one is reacting. Remember, the deal value is reasonable given the scale of Paramount, is what most of the brokerage houses are seeing. Then this is one of the largest TPA deals in India that has been reported. Can we pull up the stock please of Medi Assist? Okay, we don't have that stock to show you right here. So let's look at some other stocks. Let's look at Ultratech Cement, how that one is reacting. Remember, the company has raised $500 million through sustainability linked loan and participation from 6 banks right there, 0.08% higher in trade. Let's also pull up Piramal Enterprises to see how the company is reacting to the news flow. The company's unit Piramal Capital and Housing Finance was held liable for 466 odd crore rupees, a percent lower for this one. GPT Infra, the company has launched a QIP. Let's look at how that one is reacting. It's set a floor price of 183.83 right there. So let's see how that one is reacting. Flattish with a negative bias today. No movement. Bondada Engineering is another one that we should be definitely looking at in today's trading session. It's been awarded a contract of 576 odd crore rupees to see if that one has reacted positively as well. Do we have Bondada Engineering as a stock, PCR? Let's pull up that one as well to see that one is reacting. Okay, we don't have that one to share with our viewers. Let's look at HCL Technologies. Remember, HCL Tech was at record high levels yesterday. We need to see if there is a follow-up today. And of course, there is this news that the company has extended its strategic AI-driven engineering services and digital process operations partnership with Xerox right there. And flattish with a positive bias is what we see on HCL Tech as of now too. Let's also look at HUL. There will be a dip on this stock, about 0.5%. The company's got a tax demand worth about 963 odd crore rupees. So therefore, there could be some weakness on HUL. Yes, there is a almost 0.4% dip on the stock right now. Then let's also look at Lemon Tree Hotels. There's a 1.5% uptick on this one on launching a hotel in Ayodhya. They've tied up, in fact, to open an 80-room hotel. MedPlus, where there has been a block deal. Warburg has sold its entire 11.35% stake right there. MedPlus Healthcare, there's a 1.3% uptick on this one. I think we do have Osho is with us, I believe. Osho Krishan, the technical research analyst. We do have our special guest with us. He's the senior research analyst and of both technicals and derivatives at Angel One. Warm welcome to you, Osho. And Dharmesh has also joined us. Dharmesh Kant, head of equity research at Chola Securities. Good morning and welcome to both of you. Osho, let's start off with you. Your two stocks that you'll be looking at today.
Very good morning, Sakshi. Firstly, thank you for having me at your show. Well, overall, there are many counters which have given a very strong breakout in last trading session, but best pick or the preferred pick that I have, one is from the metal space. Hindalco yesterday has given a very strong breakout above the zone of 700 and it has continued till the last trade towards the zone of 711, I guess. So I expect that there can be a strong follow-up buying in Hindalco that can be seen for today's trading session also. So I'm expecting that this counter has a potential to test the zone of 735 to 740 on a positional basis, and for intraday also it has a potential to test the zone of 720-25. So I'm expecting a very strong bullish setup in Hindalco, and it is always advisable to keep a stop loss of nearly 690 for short-term traders. The other counter which has given a breakout on the technical chart is from the FMCG space. Dabur yesterday has given a very strong breakout. So I'm expecting that there can be very strong follow-up buying in Dabur in today's trading session also. Approximately 600 50-55 is the zone where one should try to accumulate on the higher end. I'm expecting a target of nearly 680, and 630 should be considered as an stop loss for this counter.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, as good a time as any to welcome Mr. Dharmesh Kant. Namaste Dharmesh ji, a very warm welcome to you, sir. I hope you're feeling well. Let's look at how the structure of the market is in the mid-cap and small-cap space. Any picks that you may have over the next 1 year or so which might show strong growth from current levels? As far as you are concerned, we've marked Canara Bank and Bank of India from your side, Infibeam Avenues, Natco Pharma, and Narayan Hirdalya. Would you like to add something to your tally?
Yeah, good morning, Shailji. Good morning, Sakshi, Osho, and all our viewers. I think, see, market is consolidating, and it is like more of a trading place with sectoral rotation happening into the event. From here on, from 1 year perspective, I still stick by the five stocks which you have already mentioned. I mean, they are very good buys on declines. But to my mind, if you look at the earnings gone by of Q1, the mid and small cap space was in real trouble at that point of time, except a few outliers. So that was more of a seasonality or cyclicality kind of a play with earnings came by. Going forward, Q2 would be more difficult. So rather than sticking to mid and small cap plays, I think one has to look forward to large caps. And there, I think Tata Motors stands a clear buy. I mean, all this demerger and devaluation of DVR is happening around. And SOTP based target price is around 1400 for Tata Motors. So that is one stock which we are finding a good value out there. Apart from them, banking is Canara Bank and Bank of India has already been highlighted, and correction in ICICI Bank can be looked into. Others, I think, has run up too far. Nothing wrong with the businesses, but valuation mismatch is too high. So any kind of a geopolitical issue or any kind of a negative news flow, because all positives are already there in the market. Now you have nothing to look from the positive point of view. The last was the US Fed rate cut. That is already being, on the way. So one has to be careful. That is what our sense is.
Fair point. Nifty settled 14 points higher, 25,024. That's fairly good. Nifty Bank is trying to open 65 points higher. There are modest upticks on Nifty 500 and IT. Remember, we've rallied for 8 successive days, so any green tick is thankful. Let's hope that markets have enough sense, and which they do. And we have a sensible open, a sensible uptick, and then possibly a record high today. Now let's get Osho into the conversation and find out about his views on ONGC, 0.5% higher, 329.4. Osho, what are the charts telling you against the backdrop of a 3 percentage point uptick in global crude oil prices? Where is ONGC headed?
See, overall, looking at the technical chart of ONGC, then this counter has seen a kind of a consolidation phase from the zone of 340 towards 320 odd levels. But looking at the historical data, the 21-day exponential moving average from where we are witnessing a reversal kind of a scene in last trading session. So I'm expecting the 21-day exponential moving average historically has also provided a strong cushion to this counter, and now also has started providing cushion to this counter. So I expect that from here onwards, again, we can witness the zone of 340 in the coming period. But 340 will be a very crucial resistance for this counter until we witness a very strong or decisive breakthrough above 340. One should not be very much aggressive and should utilize any kind of dip towards 325 to 320. So 20 odd levels is the range where one should try to buy the dips and sell on the rise. The time we witness a breakout above 340, then another 20 point of rally can be seen in ONGC.
Okay, got it. So the markets are settling. You're seeing some move coming in the broader markets today, as small caps and mid caps are about 0.25% higher in trade. Softer with positive moves across the board, barring say media and the oil and gas spaces. Britannia seems to be looking at a positive opening of about 0.5%. Again, it's kind of looking like a defensive day. Let's get Dharmeshji's view here. Dharmeshji, we have scaled that 25,000 mark back on the Nifty. Where do you think the momentum will carry on from this point? Will it be the defensive sectors, or will it be the rate sensitive sectors that have actually shown some uptick as of yesterday post Jerome Powell's speech? How are you looking at navigating fresh moves?
I mean, so defensives is definitely there on the cards. FMCG and the utility plays is already there, and any dips out there is getting bought into sizably. IT sector has done up quite a bit. I think IT will still be the flavor till the November elections are out, because that whole trade is playing out there. Valuation wise, Indian IT companies are more expensive than the US IT companies, having all the parameters into account. So they are on the higher end of the valuation multiple, but I do think the trade is likely to be there. As far as rate sensitives are concerned, I think the taker of the interest rate cut would be the beneficiaries out of this outcome, and there you have auto ancillaries which look attractive rather than the direct OEM plays in the auto space, because I think the competition is hitting up too high and valuations are pretty rich. So one has to look for auto ancillaries on the rate sensitive part. For entire BFSI space, there is one catch point. I mean, if you look at the loan book, 40% of the banking loans are marked to repo rate. So any rate cut out there, I don't think it will happen this year. That is my personal view. But even if it happens, then it will lead to a NIMS compression, because the pass on happens immediately on the repo rate benchmark loans. But deposit rate cut takes a lag effect. So that is where this upside is getting a bit capped in most of the banking space, and we are not seeing a good sizable rally happening out there. So that's one big hindrance out there. But again, you have specific plays, and there we think that in the public sector space, Bank of India, Canara Bank looks fine. So again, Sakshi, it's like now you have to focus more on stocks rather than a clear-cut blanket sector play.
Okay. Osho, within the IT
Right.
pack, yeah, Shail, you wanted to say something?
No. Please continue, Sakshi. No issues.
Osho, just wanted to ask you quickly your top IT stock today.
Yesterday HCL Tech has given a very strong breakout, so I expect that there should be strong momentum in HCL Tech. It has given a breakout around the zone of 1680 was the breakout levels. So yesterday it has given a very decisive follow-up buying after the breakout. So I expect that there can be a decent follow-up buying in this counter in the coming period. Whereas any dip towards 1700 should be acting as a very strong support, and one should try to accumulate around the zone of 1700 for higher targets of nearly 1760 from short-term point of view.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a modest opening on the Nifty, mild red tick, 25,008. The Nifty Bank 25 points lower. IT index 17 points lower. Remember, all of them have rallied for 9 successive days, and it's about time that some money is taken off the table. Let's see how much of that is taken off the table. Remember, Thursday is also the monthly expiry for futures and options, and today Fin Nifty will also be expiring. Nifty 500 flat 23,566. Let's very quickly look at what's happening in the markets. Okay, you have a green tick on LNT, 11 rupees higher, 36.52. SBI a rupee higher, 816. Reliance flat, 3 rupees lower, 3022. How about HDFC Bank? 2 rupees 50 lower, 1637.85. Infosys mildly in the green, a rupee higher, 1877. TCS 11 rupees lower, 44.91. So it's an even spread. I would imagine Nifty is on the back foot, and that's the reason, because 7 out of 10 index heavyweights are in the red. Bajaj Finserv, keep an eye out on this one, opening in the green, 1689. And of course Bajaj Finance down 13 again, 67.61. Okay, First look on most active counters. Out of top 20, only 5 are in the green. So you can see profit bookings somehow getting deeper. Any names that are familiar on the green side? No surprise here, ONGC. About a percentage point higher, 330.25. What's in the green? HCL Tech, 1 percentage point higher, 1736.30. What's in the green? SBI and Infosys, ITC and Axis Bank. Nothing much here buzzing. Let's shift focus to the cash market. What's looking good? Okay. What's looking good is Tata Technologies. It's the most active trading counter, and this is something that needs to be sort of paid attention to. Down 1.84, but this is something that you need to pay attention to. Tata Elxsi, a very broad breakout yesterday. Counter continues to be in momentum. 1.5% higher, 7,800. Other top gainers. Gujarat State Petronet Limited, 6.5% higher, 402. This is the top gainer. No stopping NLC, 2.8% higher. NLC India, 3.4% higher, 282. Oil India, 3% higher. Paytm, despite the SEBI notice, counters 2.4% higher, but it fell 5% yesterday. Mankind Pharma rally continues, 2.2% higher. In the broader markets, okay, that's a very strong gain that I see. Out of the 19 indices, Sakshi, all 19 are in the green, led by the pharma index. So rally is defensive, 0.5% higher, 26,683. Advanced decline, even Stevens, 1351 shares in the green, 714 in the red. Very quickly, Osho, what looks good? Is this a day of pause? Should we rest? Or is there something looking good technically on the charts on the long or the short side? What would you do?
See, overall the market is at a very strong levels, pivotal levels of make or break. So that is why we are witnessing some kind of balanced trade in our market, because I am expecting that from here onwards, if there should be something that should trigger positive momentum, then it should be from the banking and financial space. And from banking and financial, there are various counters which are looking very positive. M&M Finance is looking very positive. It has given a consolidation breakout to nearly 315 odd levels, and I am expecting that it should continue towards the zone of 325 to 330 in a very short term point of view. So financials are looking very positive to me. Many counters like Chola Finance, M&M Finance, Bajaj Finance and Finserv both are looking very positive. So I expect that financial counters should take a strong thrust from here onwards, and that can provide some kind of positive sentiments for the benchmark index.
Okay, got it. Well, Shail, you were pointing out Tata Tech. There's a 3.3% equity that is exchanged hands there, about 1.3 crore shares worth 1367 odd crore rupees at the rate of 1027. So that's the move right there. Within the broader markets, there are several other stocks. NIIT,
Yes.
no let up with the kind of move that we have seen there. Another 15% of a move on NIIT Limited, something that Shail highlighted right on Thursday for all our viewers. This has been the third day in a row when we are seeing double-digit gains coming in on the stock again, and there is no let up. 176 right now on NIIT. And let's look at UCAL Limited that I highlighted this morning as well within the stocks that you need to look at. Another 15.2% higher move on this one. There are also some other stocks, MRO Tech Realty, you have Lipsa Gems that's been continuously gaining ground, MediAssist Healthcare that I highlighted where there is an Investec report which has initiated coverage on the stock with a buy call and a 625 kind of a target. The stock is up by 9% in trade. So those are some of the stocks within the broader markets that are doing very well at this point in time. Let's get Dharmeshji into the conversation. Dharmeshji, NIIT, what's the sense that you're getting? Of course, there was some promoter buying that we had heard on Thursday, which we highlighted for our viewers, but it's been consistently rallying. What should investors do after this consistent 3 days up move?
Be invested. I mean, see, Sakshi, what is happening in the market, and that is what becomes a bit scarier. A little bit of a good news flow or some order wins or some, promoter buying. And it's good that promoter is buying back into the shares. Usually what we have the texture has been almost more than 1,30,000 odd crores of promoter selling has happened this year so far, which is almost highest if you go with the monthly numbers. The markets are just lapping and the stocks are flying off 14, 15 over of say 3, 4 days. It's almost 40% kind of an up move. Then it becomes very, very difficult to look at the valuations and how to justify the earnings growth. Because if you see the time frame is now getting squeezed within a week rather than 2 years, 3 years kind of valuation multiple plays. So there's a huge liquidity which is there, and that is how things are playing out. So in such a scenario, if you are sitting on a winning trade, be invested. If you are getting a bit fearful, play with a trailing stop loss. That's the only way. Because anyways, you are making good enough money. 3 year, 4 year kind of earnings are already discounted in the price. So no point, worrying even if the stop loss gets triggered. So that is what for technical trades. I mean, short-term investment plays, we are advising this kind of strategy to our clients. Long-term, 3 years, 5 years, one has to give it more time. Let this momentum be there. Stay invested and see how the things play out.
Right. 9:22, ladies and gentlemen. It's a flat opening, and let's discuss some good possibilities. Dharmesh, because you get so much into the workings of the company via con calls, via meeting managements, and understanding the broader industry cycle, please give us a couple of names in the chemical space where you think the cycle has bottomed out and prices could sort of move up over the next, let us say, 2 or 3 quarters, or maybe 1 or 2 quarters. Where do you think is the worst over in business and in terms of cycle, and that stocks are poised for an uptick after 2.5 years of very, very bad timing?
Actually, if you look at the business model of most of the telecom companies, I mean, there are only two to name a major player. So the worst as far as business is concerned was over a year and a half back. From there, the ARPUs have been clearly on the rise, and tariffs has also been on the rise for all the tech companies. And this 5G, and then you have the 6G rollout. Everything is moving from virtual reality to kind of augmented reality, AI models. And there you need more and more data usage. So data is the theme to be played out in the cycles, and I definitely believe that it's the way to go. I am not looking at 1 to 3 quarters. I am looking from 3 to 5 years perspective. The business is going to ramp up significantly. Bharti management has guided for an output of 300, so 210, 212, they are already there. And the Reliance Jio has taken a significant hike last quarter, which will be played out in this quarter. This trend is going to be there. I won't be surprised by the end of say FY 27-28, the ARPUs go to 500. So that is where the things are headed to. Valuation wise, you have a utility play where there is a consistent cash flow, and stickiness of the cash flow is to be there because the entire business model is shifting to now based on the Internet of Things. So there, be invested. Bharti, Vodafone, and Reliance, all three are good picks. Reliance AGM is due on 29, so I would be attending that. Let's see what else comes out. So the two focal point would be, one is the demerger of the value unlocking through the various segments of the businesses, and the second is the new energy business which they have been talking about. Having said that, we have given a basket buy on all the three stocks, Bharti, Vodafone, and Reliance. But our weightage to Vodafone Idea is more than that of Bharti and Reliance if you are playing a telecommunication play. Because my own belief is that in next 2 years' time, this debt problem of Vodafone Idea will be resolved, to 100% perfection in favor of the company. So their great value unlocking will again come through.
Right. Osho, I'll ask you also on the pharma space now. Could you tell us what are you tracking within the pharma space, which has been continuously buzzing, and where exactly do you feel the momentum can now continue? It was stocks like Marksans Pharma that were continuing to surge just a few days ago. Now today it's again stocks like Mankind Pharma that are coming back, Alchem Labs, Lupin, Zydus Life, you have JB Chemicals and Pharma. These are the stocks that are buzzing in trade. But where do you see the charts most promising within the pharma pack even now?
See, actually, in pharma space, majority of the counters are looking very positive. They are primarily into a very strong uptrend. There has been no decent correction or decent profit booking till now, as many counters, as you have mentioned, some of other counters like Glenmark, Granules, these counters have seen a very strong uptrend. There has been no breather in between in these counters. So I expect that there could be some kind of retracement that should be seen as a buying opportunity in many of the counters. But as of now, on the technical front, even though there is overbought territory on the technical parameters, but I expect that Alchem Labs has the potential to surge from here onwards towards the zone of 6,000 on a very short-term view. But the kind of a consolidation breakout it has given, I expect that again it has the potential to test 100, 150 odd points from here onward. Many counters are looking very positive, but there has been no retracements or no profit booking. So I expect that once there will be some kind of correction in some of the pharma space, then one can definitely try to look for opportunity in these counters. The other counter is Apollo Hospital and Fortis. These two counters are also looking very positive to me. They are into a very strong primary uptrend, but I expect the momentum to continue in both Apollo Hospital and Fortis.
Okay, got it. Dharmesh, how about you? How are you looking at the pharma space, and would you look at more frontline counters or the mid-cap counters? Where do you think the strength lies now after the recent run-up?
Yeah, Sakshi, the run-up was good. At the same time, the numbers were equally good for Q1. And what was heartening to see is the price deceleration which was happening in the US market is almost, stopped. So there has been price stabilization in the US market, and that is where most of the Indian generic makers are gaining the most. Though, ANDA's approval has not been there to the extent it was used to be. The run rate has been quite slow out there. But the medicines which they have been selling, they are, maintaining the market share out there. Input prices have been quite stable for most of the pharma players. So for top line, I do believe that 25-26% kind of a PAT CAGR is likely to be there for, say, Aurobindo Pharma or Sun Pharma, Cipla. So this continuity will be there with the kind of ROEs these companies generate with margin stability. And in such kind of a market environment, they would be finding buying traction. Apart from that, we have highlighted Natco Pharma from the CMS space, that is contract manufacturing services space, where they specialize in the oncology drugs, which they produce for their end sellers. That's a more of a B2B kind of a business. And they have also 6% market share in the API. So they have been doing well. Valuation is quite cheap. It's 15-16 times P multiple as compared to 33, the industry average, and with 25% kind of an ROE in place. So these are the type of companies one should be looking into. But this is one sector where, you can have a sectoral play. If you are making a basket and going out for all of them, it looks good. Even Mankind Pharma is looking pretty attractive with the kind of management, focus on the prescription drugs, and things are picking up out there as well. So overall, Aurobindo, Cipla, Sun, Natco, Mankind, if 5-6 companies, if you have a basket, you can go on a long trade and decent gains can be expected.
"9:30, ladies and gentlemen, the first 15 minutes have lapsed. The Nifty is pausing. Yet 25,000 is with the bulls. Let us see how the day progresses. But for the moment, flat on the Nifty, 133 points down on Nifty Bank. There is no stopping the Nifty IT index, and I have a feeling that we have seen or we are very close to an all-time high. Yes, we are at an all-time high on the Nifty IT index, and that's propelled by a very strong move that is coming, especially on HCL Tech, 1.2% higher, Persistent a percentage point higher, and of course Infosys in the green, Coforge in the green. So keep this as something on your radar, in particular Persistent and HCL Tech. Now let's look at the pharma space. Again, a record high on the index. You see a very strong move coming into 18 out of 20 pharma companies that make up this index, the top being led by JP Chemicals Pharma, 2.8% higher, 1955. Mankind is something that Dharmesh has mentioned, Lupin, Gland, Glenmark up about a percentage point each, and modest gains on Torrent, Sun, Divi's Lab, and Ipca. Let's look at all-time highs here. Alchem Labs, Lupin, Glenmark, and Sun Pharma. This is what is in the pharma space, and in the NSE 500, what's buzzing? Okay, Suven Pharma, 1104, 2.6% higher. Oil India at a record high. Welspun Corp. This is a stock highlighted by Mayuresh on 16th of August, doing pretty well. And of course, no stopping Indian Hotels, Muthoot Finance, and of course, Voltas. Getting Dharmeshji into the conversation. Sir, we've seen gold prices now consolidating way above $2,500 an ounce. Within the gold financing space, what looks good to you for the medium to long term, say 2 to 3 year horizon, where investors can still buy and hold?
Yes, Shalini, it's a very good trade. In fact, if you look at the gold prices, the firmness of the gold prices, and the way the entire macroeconomic scenario is placed on a global map, I do think that gold prices are going to be stable, and it may gain 10-15% more in next 2 to 3 years kind of a time frame. From that perspective, both Manappuram and Muthoot both looks pretty attractive. You can get it equal weighted kind of an investment, and there's a value buy because LTVs for them are going to increase, and that margin of safety will become more higher for them. At the same time, they are setting up good ROEs with lesser PE multiples out there. So valuation comfort is also there, and this is one space which is not very much affected by change in interest rate scenario, repo rate, and all. They won't affect these kind of companies because the business model is completely different from normal banking in the NBFC space. So I think one should be buyer in both, and some proxy play on the gold prices going up.
Okay. Osho, another space that we are looking at is the chemical space that's buzzing today. How would you look at some of these stocks today? GHCL, BASF, Jubilant Pharmova, they're all up and about. Gujarat Narbada, Valley Fertilizers, that's up in trade. This fertilizers and chemical space, does it interest you? And where are you keeping your focus right here? Osho?
Overall, the fertilizer and chemical space has been gaining a strong traction, but the preferred pick is from an underperformer which has not given very strong gains in the recent period, but on technical front it has given a very strong breakout in the last trading week. So I expect that firstly UPL should be seen as a buying opportunity here onwards. I expect that there can be a strong upside movement in this counter. Approximately I am witnessing a kind of a reversal in this counter and having a pattern of cup and handle. I expect a very strong target for UPL, approximately 680 or 660 kind of a target that can be seen. Other counters like Aarti Industry and Tata Chemicals are again some of the picks that I will be referring now, because Aarti Industry, after the recent correction from the highs of 760, 750 odd levels, it has came towards the oversold territory. So from here onwards, one can expect a gradual decent up move in Aarti Industry also. So I expect that from here onwards, one can definitely try to accumulate for a higher target of nearly 700 from short-term point of view. So Aarti Industry and UPL are the preferred pick. Those have not performed really well in the recent time, but they are looking very positive on the technical parameters.
Okay, Aarti Industries and UPL, keep an eye out on these two stocks from the chemicals basket right here. Underperforming stocks, but now maybe holding some strength right there. Dharmeshji, let me bring you into the conversation. And in fact, you began by discussing some of the pockets where you're looking at further moves can be seen. And you did mention autos and the auto ancillary pack too. I have not asked you on Ola Electric, so I'll just bring up that stock again. The stock is again gaining some traction after 3 days of weakness that we've actually seen. So it did lose some ground after that one-way up move. It fell about 22% from the all-time high levels. Again, there is about a 3% uptick today at 128. Is the confidence returning, or will there be some more weight that one needs to do for the valuations to cool off before taking a call on Ola?
Sakshi, fresh entry is not advisable, at least that is our view. We did have a IPO note on Ola Electric, and that pricing looked pretty attractive. So I do believe that path to profitability and operating margins, everything is going to improve as in why the capacity utilization gets increased. But electric bikes, the entire model, see, it's a first 2 and 3 years of this event. So let 5 6 years go by, and then the resale value and everything comes into play in a major way, which is a very grey market and which is a very big market in India. And there you don't have a value for electric vehicles on the resale front. So that would be the challenge, and I think in next 1.5 year time frame we would be talking about that challenge as well, and how this valuation thing is going to adjust. So as of now, this momentum is up. So, I mean, the advice is if you have bought in IPO or if you bought immediately after the IPO at around say 90, 92 rupees the first day pricing, the closing price which was there, stay invested, no need to sell. But presently at 130, 135, I mean, it's not advisable from my end, because there are other companies like Bajaj announced their very aggressive plan on the CNG side of the bike, and that is one area which has to be seen. They are coming out with the hybrid bike. So all auto majors are coming out with the bikes and they have a ready business in place. So let's see how this shapes up. As of now, I think it's pretty firmly priced. Investors can stay invested, no fresh buying, please.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 9:37 for you. A bit of a slip on the Nifty. Absolutely nothing to be bothered about. 24,987. 182 points down on the Nifty Bank. And this is balanced more than evenly when you look at the broader market. Strong rallies coming in the pharma space. There is a very, very decent uptick in the small cap 100, 0.5% higher, 19,213. This is also a record high. Record high on IT, record high on pharma, and the small cap 100 index. What is the Fin Nifty doing today? It has its final expiry for the month of August, and the index is down. The advanced decline ratio on Nifty 50 favors the bears at the moment. 21 stocks in the green, 29 in the red. There's nothing much to talk about in the broader market. Almost even Stevens, nothing much happening on the green side. What is on the back foot? Like I said, financial services index 0.5% lower, 23,289. I'd like to take Osho's view on Bajaj Finserv. Again, this is technically driven for those wanting to get the shareholder quota in the Bajaj Housing IPO. Need to buy Bajaj Finserv and have it in their demat before August 29th. What are the charts telling you, Osho? Is it overextended? 5 days of continuous uptick on Bajaj Finserv.
Yes, the positive development is that it has again emerged above the 200-day SMA, which is a positive development. But on the negative side or on a restriction side, it is hovering just near the sloping trend line of the recent two swing highs. So until it witnesses a very decisive breakthrough above the zone of 1700, this can be a sign of some caution. But I expect with the momentum, the 1700 mark should be breached in the recent period, because financial counters are looking very positive to me for the time being. But if there will be any kind of dip in Bajaj Finserv towards the zone of 1650 to 1660, that should be seen as a buying opportunity for immediate target of 1700. And the time we witness a breakthrough above 1700, then we can witness another 100 to 150 odd points of rally in Bajaj Finserv. So 1700 should be a very crucial zone that one should eye for. The time we witness a breakthrough, then we can see a very strong up move coming in this counter, because from a long time this has not performed really well from an investment point of view, but from trading point of view, it has given a very strong range where one could buy and one could sell.
Dharmeshji, your view on Bajaj Finserv? I mean, just a technical punt because of the way SEBI rules are. Is it worthwhile at current levels, all-time high being somewhere like 1850? What does logic say at this point?
Actually, one has to, hold. If you have to wait, give it this quarter, let this quarter go by Q2, see the numbers. and then we can take a call, because Bajaj Finserv is basically a holding company of Bajaj Finance, and they have the insurance business also into the play. So it's a bit diversified, but my own sense is that for pure NBFC play, one has to give Q2 a time, and then Q3 would be a right time to assess whether to get into a fresh buying position or not. So it's an avoid from my end.
Okay, got it. Another space that Osho, I'd like you to bring your thoughts in is IEX. The way it has moved up in the recent past, it's again buzzing in the F&O space today, 2% higher in trade. Is there still an indication that one can take an entry at these levels despite the rally?
See, for IEX, there has been a breakout around the zone of 190, which was approximately by the starting of August month, but there has been no strong follow-up buying that can be seen in this counter. So this counter has undergone in a time-wise correction phase, although I was having an expectation that it should breach the zone of 200, but looking at the overall momentum in the last 3 weeks, this counter is having a buy on dip kind of a approach. Around 190 is acting as a very strong support, and 200 is again acting as a resistance. So the time we witness a breakthrough above 200, then only there can be a strong traction coming by. But overall, on technical front, the technical parameters are slightly cooling down. So I expect that now one can actually try to accumulate this counter. But again, 200 should be acting as a resilience. The time we witness a breakthrough, then we can see a very strong reversal in this counter for even higher targets, not only 210, but also on a higher target, because it is forming a rounding base formation on the weekly and monthly time frame. So I expect the time it crosses over 200 zone, then it has the potential to test approximately 235 to 240 odd levels.
Okay. Dharmesh ji, there is the IPO space which is hotting up. So another IPO that's opening up today, Premier Energies. Do you also have a note on that one? Have you tracked that closely, and what are you advising viewers here? It's again within the renewable energy, the solar space, which is definitely something that investors are keen on looking at.
Yeah, we have a subscribe rating on the space, so optically it does look a bit expensive with the valuation multiples. But I think there's a lot more to go in the company, because photovoltaic cells are something which is used not only on renewable energy space, but any other battery segment which you are using for data center and all, and semiconductor. So everywhere they will have the presence, and this is in a way it's a very niche play, and the first mover advantage is likely to be there, because the pure play in which this company is, operating into, we don't have a listing out there which caters just to photovoltaic cell kind of arrangement. So business-wise, I think the company is sitting on a very good, strong order book, and it's likely to grow going forward as we hear more of, Adani, Tata's, and our own group companies falling into the data center and the entire space of semiconductor and all, where these sales will be used significantly. So plenty of business out there for this company. I do believe that listing gains would be there, and it should be a good listing gains. Suppose that once the quarterly earnings updates are there, sequentially we will be coming out with a detailed note on the same.
Very quickly, Osho, a breakout on Tata Elxsi. What do you think? Crossed above 8,000, 4% higher. What are the charts telling you?
See, again, overall, in last trading session, this counter have seen a kind of very strong movement. Today, there has been a strong follow-up buying, but the recent swing high was approximately around the zone of 8,090 only. So I expect that this level can be seen as a resilience, or can be seen as immediate resistance for this counter. So if someone is holding, then it is advisable to stay invested. If someone wants to have fresh position, then better wait for some kind of dip towards the 200-day SMA, which is approximately 7,600.
Okay, this is the second day of a very strong set of rallies that are coming in, and surprisingly, it's across the group in the Tata segment. I track how many? 23 Tata stocks in the listed category, and Tata Elxsi is along with Rallis India are the top performers. Rallis, of course, is a fertilizer space, and fertilizer stocks are also doing super good. Do I have a fertilizer theme? Okay, you can see it in the PSU space. Let me just mark out. Fact is the top gaining PSU counter today, 3.8% higher, 1010. National Fertilizers 3.7% higher, 144. RCF 3.5% higher, 206. GSFC, GNFC all in the green. So that's how it is, ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time. 9:45. The first half an hour has lapsed. Nifty is holding on to somewhere around 25,000 after 8 days of consecutive gains. We are now T minus 2 away from the monthly expiry, and for all accounts the last 9 trading sessions have something that the bulls have enjoyed. Now a bit of a rest. Sakshi.
Okay, got it. 9:47, just about 10 minutes to go for us to wrap up this show. Let's quickly look at what is buzzing at this point in time. Within the FMO space, you also have ABB. Remember, there was another report on this one that's buzzing with 3% gains. Nalco is consistently higher, 2.3% up. Havells is picking up pace from the consumer durable space. Deepak Nitrite, Jumble Fertilizers. So again, that fertilizers and the chemical space that's been buzzing, but even consumer durables. Let's get Dharmesh Ji into the conversation. Dharmesh Ji, consumer durables for you, how are you looking at the space right now? Would you stay, with the companies like, say, which are into ACs and white goods particularly, or would you look at something like which is into yellow gold, yellow metal, etc. So the jewelry, gems, and jewelry space. Which part of the consumer durable space is interesting you right now?
Sakshi, I mean, the most interesting part of this market is the liquidity. I don't know whether you've done, practice some boxing in life or you've seen. So once you punch the upper ball, no matter how hard you punch it, it comes back to you with a more equal force and a better, rather a greater force. It comes back to you. So that is what is happening in this market with this liquidity surge, and whether you talk to HNIs, super HNIs, retail investors, or the fund managers out there, everybody is sitting on cash to be deployed into the market. So it is very difficult to pick out a specific, news flow or event which is leading to this market, because if you look at order wins, so order wins are regular phenomena that has to be replaced with the prior execution. So what we have done a study where I did not find any incremental higher order wins going into any of the companies. So, but just on the backdrop of that, we are seeing stock prices surge. So same is the case with consumer durable space. If you look at the businesses of yellow metals, be it Titan and the likes, so I did not find any significant traction happening into the business. So the volume traction was similar to what it was. The value traction has gone up because the prices have gone up. And similar has been the case with white goods. White goods, there was a cyclical play because 2 years has been very bad for, say, a company like Voltas and all, AC and refrigerator and other electronic appliances maker. This year has been good. So our sense is that one has to just stay invested, whichever pocket you select. Like today, fertilizer is going up, and it will be very difficult for you to pick up a point why fertilizer stocks are finding traction. It's just that they are finding traction for the day. So liquidity is the mantra, and it's going to stay. So it's not going to evaporate so soon. So if you are invested into the pocket, one day you will find your stocks flying up. So that is what I end up with.
Okay, got it. Oh, right. Let's also get Osho to help us understand with what is he really looking at within the mid and the small cap space. Half odd percent surge within the mid and the small cap, still buzzing. Anything that strikes your attention there, Osho?
See, again, I was looking at the technical charts of Havells only, and it has given a very strong breakout, because on the technical front, it is for the first time that if it closes above the zone where it is hovering just now, around the zone of 1940, above 1940, then we can expect that there should be a strong continuation in Havells. So this counter looks very positive, but again, one should not be very much aggressive, because in the previous charts, in the previous duration, it has tested this zone 3 times. So we need to have a very strong closer for this counter. If it closes, then only we can witness a very strong movement, because till now the volume traction is not very much dependable for this counter. But overall chart structure looks very positive, so one should definitely keep this counter in their radar. Other counters which are looking very positive or has given a very strong momentum is from the cement space. Aramco Cement is looking positive to me. It is on the verge of giving a breakout. It has not given a breakout yet, but I expect that the zone of 835, 840 is the zone from where one can expect a very decent traction in this counter. And on the higher end, approximately 870 should be the target that one can expect in Ramco Cement. So this counter is looking very positive. On the lower end, 810 is a very strong support. On the higher end, 835 is the zone where one should try to accumulate for 870 to 75 kind of a target.
Okay, the mid-cap Nifty, ladies and gentlemen, just hit a record high, 13,141. It's modestly up 0.2%, but shows gaining a lot of strength. I'd also like to focus on National Aluminium for two reasons. One, it's just stepped out of the F&O ban, and this is again showing decent traction in cash markets too. 185.69. Osho, any view that you would have on National Aluminium?
National Aluminium is also one of the technical picks that I would have recommended. Hindalco and National Aluminium both are looking very positive to me. For National Aluminium, 189 to 190, which is again the bearish gap on the higher end, is the immediate target that one can expect in this counter. On the higher end, approximately 3 to 4 rupees of movement is still pending for this counter. Overall structure is looking very positive, while on the lower end, 181 or 180 should be seen as a very strong support zone. So this counter looks very positive to me. If it breaches the zone or if it fills the bearish gap, then we can witness another decent movement towards the zone of 195 for this counter. So overall, metal space is looking very positive, and it is backing up by very strong volumes also.
953, ladies and gentlemen, the Nifty's reclaimed 25,000 and in style. It just tested the daily pivot at 24,970 odd, and from then on it's just burst up. So with this kind of a move, I think not only 25,040, which was yesterday's high, but also 25,078, 25,100, which is an all-time high, is now at within shouting distance. Across the board, Sakshi, every single index is making an intraday high, whether you look at the Nifty small cap 50, whether you look at the move coming in the mid cap space, everything across the board is now at days high. The Nifty infrastructure index is doing pretty well. And let's look at this. Okay, pharma, as I had pointed out earlier, is not only at a record high, but is the top performing index. But across the board, we track somewhere like 27 broader indices as well, intraday highs across the board. So this is looking good. And what is also looking good is Castrol India, 283. Your very quick view on Castrol, Osho. What are the charts telling you? I believe Castrol is now at a record high. Yes, it is.
See, overall the trend is very positive. This counter is in the cycle of higher highs. The time it has given a breakout and sustained above the zone of 240, then from there onwards we are witnessing a very strong higher highs kind of a pattern in this counter. And today also the volume, there has been decent volume which has supported the price action for this counter. So I expect that this should continue on the higher end, as it has given a fresh breakout or a fresh lifetime high. So I expect that another levels that one can definitely see is approximately 286 followed by 292, with the kind of formation that it has seen in the recent period. So 280 86 or 90 is the zone that one can definitely look for short-term perspective in this counter.
Okay, got that. Well, 9:56, we are closer to winding up the edition as well. But before we let you go quickly, could you also give us a view on BHEL, Osho? This stock got in focus yesterday because of that 11,000 odd crore rupee order that's come in. Half odd % of an improvement today. on BHEL at 298. What would you say?
See, overall, this counter is into a very strong consolidation zone. It is not forming a very strong breakout above the zone of 300. So it is better to wait for a decisive breakout the time it witnesses a very strong move beyond 302 on a closing basis. Then one can definitely try to gauge, or one can definitely try to accumulate this counter and gauge the momentum. Because the time I witness approximately 302 kind of a levels, then from there onwards near about the consolidation is of 10 points, so I expect 312 to 315 kind of a levels for BHEL in the coming period.
Okay, and the real estate space has now gained a lot of ground, a percent higher for the index. Macro tech developers is another 5% higher in trade. Brigade Enterprises up to Phoenix Mills, Sobha, Godrej Properties, Prestige, they're all up and about right now. Your sense on the real estate space, what are you looking at here, Osho?
See, again, for Lodha, this counter has seen a very strong movement in the last trading session that is backed by very strong support of 200-day SMA. And today there has been a strong buying traction again. So I expect that this counter is on the verge of giving a very strong and gradual up move. But on the higher end, the time it witnesses a breakout above 1300, then one can definitely try to accumulate for higher targets of nearly 1450 in short-term perspective. Overall, trend has started to reverse on the technical front, and it will give a confirmation beyond 1300 odd levels. So from there onwards, one can definitely try to accumulate this counter. Other counters like Godrej Property is also looking very positive because it is at a very strong support base of nearly 100-day SMA, EMA. So I expect that there can be a decent movement in this counter also, but again, one should wait for a kind of movement beyond 2940 odd levels, then one can try to accumulate this counter.
Okay, Osho. Well, we are going to be thanking you on that note and for sharing all these wonderful stock ideas like you always do and the strategies on the markets too, Osho. Thanks a lot for being with us on the morning edition of Market Today. 2 minutes to go before we wind up the edition. Let's start winding up the morning trade. 30 points higher for the Nifty, 25,040. You have the Nifty Bank, that's about 1/10% higher in trade at 68 points higher, 51,216. Realty, pharma, media stocks, IT, even the broader markets, consumer durables, they remain in the thick of action. The stocks on the Nifty, which are the top movers in the morning trade, are L&T, HCL Tech, Infosys, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's Sun Pharma, IT and Pharma definitely in the front running zone. On the lower side, you have BPCL that's lost ground about up 1.8% in trade today. JSW Steel, Bharti Airtel, Kotak, Mahindra Bank, and you also have Bajaj Finserv and Eicher Motors, which are standing lower in trade. Within the F&O space, you have Nalco that's 3% higher, Chambal Fertilizers, Havells, ABB, Alchem Labs, Deepak Nitrite. These are the top moving stocks, whereas on the downside, again, you have stocks like Balrampur Chini, seeing some profits being shaved off. You have JSW Steel, Tata Communications, HPCL, BPCL, both dragging a bit lower in trade. But all in all, it seems like a good start for the Tuesday, and we'll have to see whether the momentum continues through the rest of the session as well. Anything else, Shail, you need to add?
Yes, Sakshi, I'm hoping for a close above 25,074 today.
Okay, wonderful. Well, with that, we'll wrap up at that. Many thanks, viewers, for staying with us on Market Today's morning edition. But do stay tuned. There's a lot of action to be covered throughout the trading session. So stay tuned with us on Business Today. Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is your favorite show, Daily Calls, a show that addresses your stock-specific questions. Now, in case you're watching us for the very first time, you could be writing in and sending in your questions to us that we can address to top market experts. You can get a custom-made advice from